stress around family side of things, that does overwhelm me quite a bit. You know, doing the job and things like that.
There was no palace statement, no briefing to royal correspondents, no warning to the family involved. Queen Camilla's own sister just quietly disappeared from a royal payroll after 20 years of steady, well-paid work, and the only reason anyone found out is because someone actually sat down and read the fine print of a financial report nobody expected to make headlines. 20 years of history erased from a line item with no announcement at all. This is a real one. No invented meetings, no fake quotes. Just a documented decision that happened in near total silence. And once you understand how much money and power actually sits behind that silence, this story gets a lot bigger than a single interior designer losing a contract. Before we get into it, this is Crown Chronicles, and we only run stories that are actually documented. If that's the kind of royal coverage you're looking for, subscribe now, because the rest of this is worth staying for. To understand why this story matters, you have to understand what the Duchy of Cornwall actually is. Because it's not just William's estate. It's one of the oldest financial arrangements in the entire British establishment. King Edward III created it in 1337 for one purpose: to provide a permanent, private income for the heir to the throne. Almost 700 years later, it's still doing exactly that job. Today, the duchy spans more than 130,000 acres across roughly 20 counties in England, and it's one of the largest private landholdings in the country. When Queen Elizabeth died in September 2022, all of it passed automatically to William the moment his father became king. Not a vote, not a ceremony anyone could block. The Duke of Cornwall title, and everything underneath it, goes straight to the next heir. That everything underneath it is the part people underestimate. In William's first full financial year running the estate, the duchy generated a distributable surplus of roughly £23 million. The following year, that rose again to around £22.9 million, over $30 million. The duchy's total assets now sit above £1.2 billion, climbing for years running. That's not pocket money attached to a ceremonial title. It's a fully functioning financial empire with its own staff, its own property portfolio, and its own annual accounting obligations, all funneling private income to one man. This is the machine Annabel Elliot had a small, quiet foothold inside of for 2 decades. And it's the machine William now runs entirely on his own authority. Annabel Elliot isn't a minor character in Camilla's life. She's Camilla's older sister, and for almost 2 decades she held one specific, well-paid role inside that same royal machine: chief interior designer. For the Duchy of Cornwall, Charles hired her in 2005, right after he married Camilla, back when he still personally held the Duke of Cornwall title. From there, Elliot's design work spread across the entire estate: holiday cottages in Cornwall, Wales, and the Isles of Scilly, a 20-bedroom pub redevelopment at Poundbury, guest cottages at Dumfries House in Scotland. Over the years, she was paid several £100,000 through the duchy for that work. This wasn't a one-off favor. She was embedded in the machinery of one of the most valuable private estates in Britain, consistently, for 20 years. That's the baseline you need before the rest of this makes sense. Then, in September 2022, Charles became king, and the Duke of Cornwall title passed immediately to William. Overnight, one of the largest private estates in the country changed hands, and with it, the sole authority to decide who gets paid and who doesn't. Nothing happened immediately, at least not visibly. No dramatic announcement, no farewell statement. Just a slow silence where regular payments used to be. It's worth knowing what William has said publicly about his plans for the duchy, because it's not speculation, it's on the record. Under his leadership, the estate laid out stated goals around becoming net zero by 2032, supporting tenant mental health, and addressing homelessness. In May 2024, William personally visited a duchy-backed housing project in Newquay built to tackle local homelessness. This is a prince publicly framing his stewardship around sustainability and social impact, not simply preserving how his father ran things. Against that backdrop, the duchy's integrated annual report, published in July 2024, is what actually surfaced the Elliot story. Buried inside the accounting was a simple fact. For the first time in roughly 20 years, Annabel Elliot hadn't been paid or reimbursed for any work between 2023 and 2024. The line that used to show tens of thousands of pounds a year had dropped straight to nil. Nobody announced it. Nobody explained it in a press release. It just showed up in a spreadsheet, and it took financial journalists cross-referencing the numbers to even notice it had happened. This is the part that rarely gets talked about alongside the Elliot story, and it should. Every time the Duchy publishes one of these reports, it's publishing, in public, exactly how much private income the future king draws from a medieval land grant, and increasingly, how it's spent against stated priorities like climate goals and rural homelessness. It hasn't gone without criticism, either. Anti-monarchy campaigners, including the organization Republic, have publicly argued that Duchy profits, calling the whole arrangement a medieval throwback, should be redirected toward public services rather than funding the royal families' private lives. That's the environment this story unfolded in, a duchy under more public financial scrutiny than at almost any point in its history, run by an heir who has staked his own reputation on being seen as a modernizer. It's inside that exact environment that a 20-year family arrangement quietly went to zero, with no comment beyond a few careful lines to one newspaper. It helps to know what William actually inherited. Charles became Duke of Cornwall in 1952 as an infant and held it until 2022, one of the longest tenures in the estate's history. He was known for personally weighing in on decisions, most visibly at Poundbury, the model town he commissioned in Dorset, and for converting Duchy Home Farm to organic methods years before that was fashionable. He also, over 5 decades, drew people close to his own personal life into paid roles connected to his household, Annabel Elliot being one clear example among several. William inherited all of that the instant his father became king. What this story actually shows is one of the first visible points where William chose not to simply continue that pattern by default. He kept the estate and its purpose, but on at least one long-standing personal arrangement tied to his stepmother's family. He made a different call than his father likely would have, without explaining why beyond a brief comment to one newspaper. Once reporters at the Telegraph caught it, sources close to the situation did comment carefully. According to reporting at the time, palace sources said William would simply no longer be employing Elliot, and stressed the decision reflected nothing negative about her work. One source added that her design work was considered complete, and Duchy staff had learned enough from her expertise to carry it forward themselves. That's the official version, and there's genuinely no confirmed evidence contradicting it. It's entirely possible this really was routine, a new landlord deciding a 2-decade design arrangement had simply run its course. But it's also fair to lay out what royal watchers picked up on, clearly framed as exactly that. Speculation, not fact. Commentators pointed out the timing. This was the Queen Consort's own sister, cut loose within 2 years of William inheriting full control of the estate that funds his household, right as he was publicly positioning it as leaner and more accountable. Some observers have suggested it fits a broader pattern of William tightening who gets institutional access purely through family proximity rather than a defined role. The same instinct some have pointed to in how the palace has handled Prince Andrew's status. That's a reading commentators have offered. It is not a confirmed motive, and the palace has never framed it that way. Here's where it matters to stay disciplined about what's known, because this is exactly where a lot of royal content quietly starts making things up. A furious private conversation, a cold shoulder at the next family gathering, a rift nobody can actually verify. There is no verified public statement from Camilla about the change, and no confirmed account of any private reaction. What we actually have is more mundane and more human. Photos from after the change show Camilla and Annabel still attending events together, including Wimbledon in the summer of 2024, and Elliot has continued appearing alongside Camilla and other royals, including riding with Princess and in a carriage at Royal Ascot. Whatever happened financially, the personal relationship between the sisters doesn't appear, from anything publicly visible, to have been damaged. That cuts against the version of this story that would be easier to sell as pure drama. The real version is quieter, A financial decision that made headlines for a week, sitting alongside a family relationship that carried on exactly as it had before. The same summer, the same racecourses, the same photographs of two sisters who still clearly show up for each other, regardless of what changed on a spreadsheet somewhere behind them. Zoom out, and this is one of the clearest examples of how the post-Elizabeth monarchy is actually restructuring itself, not through secret family tribunals, but through the boring mechanics of who legally controls which estate and what they choose to fund. William didn't need anyone's permission. He didn't need Charles to sign off, or Camilla's agreement. The Duke of Cornwall title came bundled with direct control over the duchy's payroll the moment he inherited it, along with a billion-pound balance sheet and a growing chorus of critics watching every pound of it. He used that control once, quietly, on a family member of his own stepmother, without a single public word about why. Whether that was pure business housekeeping or an early signal about where royal adjacent spending is headed once William becomes king is the real open question here, and it's one only time will answer, not invented insider quotes. If there's a real way to track whether this was a one-off or the start of something bigger, it's the duchy's own reporting cycle. Every summer, the duchy publishes its integrated annual report, the same document that surfaced this entire story. Any future changes, new names appearing, or other arrangements quietly ending, would first become visible there, the same way this one did. No insider needs to leak anything. It's published on schedule, every year, for anyone willing to actually read it. That's the real story, verified, sourced, and honestly more interesting for being true. If you want royal coverage that stays this disciplined about fact versus speculation, subscribe to Chronicles so you don't miss the next one. And drop a comment. Do you think this was routine, housekeeping, or the first real sign of a bigger shift under William? Let me know down below.